powerful thing that we want you to remember is that deliberate creation is about deliberate focus. And deliberate focus is about deliberate point of attraction. And deliberate point of attraction is about deliberate rendezvous with all peoples, places, things, events, thoughts, circumstances, all things that you want. You'll rendezvous with them. If you can put creation, deliberate creation, into the picture of law of attraction, orchestrating the details that causes, facilitates, because you're causing it with your vibration, that facilitates the coming together of the constantly moving vibrational parts. So you will therefore care more about how you feel, because how you feel is your indication of how well you're rendezvousing with the parts that you want to rendezvous with. The better you feel, the more in alignment for those rendezvous you are. So as we talk about you moving around, do you like that feeling? Moving around, you're at work, you're at home, you're on the road, you're in your car, you're in restaurants, you're in stores, you are in nature, you're in bed, you're moving around your world. And as you're moving around your world, you have a point of attraction that is radiating, emanating, and key to the rendezvous that are happening to you all day, every day. And your point of attraction is about your focus. So just for a little while, we want you to focus on the emotional stance. Because if you focus upon how you feel, what you want and why you want it, which is what I want and how I will feel when I get it, you will deliberately begin generating, emitting a vibrational signal, which we are calling your vibrational grid. It's your point of attraction. Now, your point of attraction has a lot of things going on in it. Usually, you got a grid about money, you got a grid about lovers, you got a grid about your mother, you got a grid about your mother, you got a grid about your mother, you got a grid about your mother. You've got a grid about your government. In other words, you have, in this grid, you have all kinds of things going on. And most of your grid, we love you very much, is because of what you believe. And what you believe is because of what you've observed. But we want to remind you that you can believe other than what you've observed, and then what you will observe will contour to what you believe. That's the thing most people don't get. Most people think that they believe it because they see it. And we're wanting you to understand that because you're seeing it, you've come to believe it, but it doesn't have to be that way. Because there are plenty of things that you believe that others don't believe, and there are plenty of things that others don't believe that you do believe. And your beliefs are only about what's active in your vibration, and therefore what is coming to you. We want you to start basing your beliefs just for a little while. Try it for a week. It will change everything. We want you to base your beliefs on your emotional grid. We want you to come to believe that you can feel the way you choose to feel regardless of what's surrounding you. Because when you show yourself that, then you have control of everything that matters to you. Then you've got control of your point of attraction. You don't have control of others' points of attraction, but they weren't any of your business anyway. You have control over your point of attraction. And when you have control over your point of attraction, then you can live happily ever after. Not just someday, now. How are you happy? How are you happy? How are you happy? Do you know that if you can find 17 seconds of a thought about something general, like an emotion, that's enough to get that grid active enough that it will bring something else to it right now. And that something else that it will bring to it right now is usually another thought that keeps it going longer. And if you can keep it going for another 17 seconds, that's enough to bring something to it. And it's usually another thought that will keep it going longer. And if you can keep that going for 17, 17, 17, until you have 68 seconds of non-diluted, general, pure, emotional thought. You've accomplished a grid that will bring you visible evidence. Someone will walk into your space with evidence. Something will come as evidence that you have accomplished a point of attraction that is strong enough that the rendezvousing process has already begun. All kinds of things will begin happening to you. And because you have deliberately worked on your grid, now as these things come, you will not just see them as random, freakish coincidences. A coincidence is a rendezvousing of vibrational latitude. That's what a coincidence is. It's a cooperative, communicative incident. Coincidence is the best word we know that is talking about rendezvousing, which is caused by law of attraction. But you thought it was random. And for most, it is random because you're not thinking deliberately. You're creating by default. But when you start deliberately, 17 seconds, not much to ask of yourself, is it? 17 seconds, it feels pretty good. And then another, and then another, and then another. We know some of you have been listening to us for a while, for a long while. And we know that you are enjoying being out on this leading edge of thought. We know that you are. The law of attraction is a vibrational manager that brings thoughts that are like it together. So when you start with a general thought, and you keep it active within yourself for a while, or even come back to it frequently, what happens is that general thought begins to become more specific by the power of law of attraction. It just has to. We've said to you that genius is really just attention to a subject. Anyone who focuses upon anything will attract more and more and more and more and more information around it, because law of attraction insists that it be that way. And the only thing that ever keeps something from evolving and expanding in a way that is really pleasing to you is that you think about it and you think about its opposite. I want it, but where is it? I want it, but where is it? I want to understand this, but I don't. I want to feel good, but I feel bad. In other words, when you think opposing thoughts right up on top of the thought, then you don't allow the progression. You just hold yourself in this place. You can't stand still, but you can move toward and away, 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 toward and away. So as you decide that you're going to begin focusing, and you're going to begin focusing deliberately, it will go really easily for you if you decide that you will start generally. And we want to say to you in an emphatic way, we may not have ever said this to you at all before, and so to start emphatically means it really matters. We're going to start emphatically by saying to you that if you will approach your life experience, your point of attraction, in terms of emotions, you are starting in a general place, and that will serve you really, really well. Because as you start in a general place of wanting to feel good, and you focus there by remembering things that did feel good, by reaching for thoughts that felt good to you, by really picking around the buffet of your world, the buffet of your family, the buffet of your husband, the buffet of your children, the buffet of your business associates, the buffet of strangers. And so as you are poking around the buffet that is surrounding you, and you are deliberately looking for things that you think will feel good when you come upon them, what will begin to happen, you're already doing it much of the time, but now you'll be doing it deliberately, you will begin to establish an emotional grid or an emotional vibrational foundation that will immediately begin to fill in with more detail. And the more you focus with a determination to feel good as you're focusing, the more the details that fill in around it will feel good too. Until, before you know it, these things will happen to you. First, you'll be having way more fun and you'll be feeling way better more of the time. And next, you will begin to accept the rightness of your place in the universe. You'll just feel adored. You will begin to feel the worthiness that you have been longing for in such amplified fashion, because when you establish a grid that feels good, only things that feel good to you can come to you. And you'll start using words, if you don't know about what we teach, you would use words like lucky. Oh, that was really lucky. That was really a really lucky thing that happened. And of course, there is never any luck involved unless you want to call luck law of attraction's response to the vibration that you're offering and subsequent bringing to you the things that match it. We'll go with you if you'll go there with us. In other words, that's as lucky as it gets. I am fortunate enough to know about law of attraction, and fortunate enough to be wise enough to be aware of how I feel, and fortunate enough to really care about how I feel, and fortunate enough to be willing to pay attention to the way I feel, that I will focus myself into an emotional general grid of happy thoughts, and in doing so, other things that match that will come to me with such detail and such specifics that I will then understand the power of the universe that I have held in my hands every day that I've been here, that now I am applying with deliberate intent. It is so much fun to be in this knowing place where the universe is responding to you and you know why. You know why. It's because of how I'm feeling. It's because of how I'm focusing. It's because of the vibration that I'm offering. So now as you move through your day, this is all happening whether you know that it is or not. So you have two choices. You can do it deliberately or you can do it by default. And the way you do it by default is by observing what's going on around you and just responding to what you're observing. We call it sloppy thinking or sloppy observing, or the squeaky wheel syndrome, where the squeaky wheel gets your attention and it never feels good when you look there. And that squeaky wheel stuff will cause you to establish a vibrational grid that will fill in with louder squeaks until you become genius oil canners. Humans often measure their talents by how good they are at putting out brush fires. And we want to zap you with the desire to work with the laws of the universe instead of against them. Work with them. As you understand that your emotions are your friend and that there is so much good that wants you. We've had quite an interesting conversation today. And from our perspective, it was emphatically out there on the leading edge. We often come together and have conversations about things that truly take thought beyond where they have been before. But this one is especially satisfying today, not only because we've moved into some new places. Esther will so love listening back to this and finding all of the new pieces that she's wanting to highlight for you. But because it is established within so many of you a renewed interest in getting back to the basics of your vibrational frequency, sort of taking it out of your head and putting it more into your heart, so to speak, into the vibrational beingness. And because of the conversations that we've had, we know that you know that the grid will fill in with the details of life that you describe as meaningful physical reality. There's no separating non-physical from physical. And we've all come so far. You are out here on the leading edge, and that's the part that we think you got with greater clarity here today. That creation is happening here, and that Source is joining you here, and that this is where the party really is, and that there are times when you allow a full recognition of the bliss and beauty and perfection of you and of life, and there are times that you don't. And we think that if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would be reveling in this new knowledge. Jerry said to Esther the other day, and she heard him laughing so hard while he said it, because she was asking him a business question, something specifically about something that she was wondering what to do about. And his words to her were, well, if I was standing in my physical shoes. And then she realized that he can stand all day if he wants to in her physical shoes, although she rarely does herself. In other words, there need be no separation from you